Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing this beautiful, fantastic morning? Welcome to Passion, Purpose, and Possibilities. I am your money mindset dream big coach and podcast host, Kenny Ingersoll. Thank you for tuning in. All right, just getting a few things set over here. All right. All right, one moment here. Hope everyone is doing well. Sorry, I just had to get that adjusted. Anyways, what's everyone doing on this beautiful Friday morning? How is everyone doing? What is going on? What are your plans? It's a little breezy, overcast today. It was snowing a little bit earlier, but not snowing currently. Otherwise, a beautiful morning. So, hope everyone is doing well. What are you doing today? What's the weather like here? And as we jump into the end of January, because the new month is right around the corner. All right. Yeah. New month is just a few days away. How is everyone's January doing? How are your goals holding up? You know, what are your goals? How clearly defined were your goals coming into the new year? And are they still intact? Are you still working on them? Are they different than last year? Are they modified from last year? Are this the same ones from 10 years ago? You know, are you still working on them? That's the biggest question. Are you still making progress on them? Sorry, one second here. It's end of January. You know, usually about this time, by time January ends, mid February, beginning mid February. um, it they seem to fall off. They seem to fall off. Sorry, one second. I gotta send a message here. Um, but so are yours still intact? And do you read them every day? How often do you read them? How often do you look at them? How often do you make sure they're still in tune? Yes, Stephen. I got your note a minute ago. I just sent that to your Facebook message. So sorry if that one didn't quite work. But you should have your in your Facebook Messenger. So I'm looking forward to having you on the show. But how often do you look at them? How often do you revise them? How often do you make sure they're still aligned with who you are, with where you're going? You know, do you need to adjust? Maybe a part of your goals need to adjust a little bit. You know, where are you at with that? Um, I've got my goals. You can't see it just off camera is one of my vision boards. I look at my goals multiple times a day. I read them out loud multiple times a day with feeling, with energy, and I envision myself in the place when those goals are complete. And I'm constantly tweaking, if necessary, my course of action towards accomplishing those goals. Um, and understanding that some of the resources may come from places that I don't think they'll come from, or I have no idea when they'll come. That's the biggest hurdle for me is the timing. Knowing the timing of when they will come, when will things happen. I think, okay, I'll do this, and then this will come right after, and then this will happen right after. But so many cases, it doesn't happen like that. It takes a lot longer than we anticipate. It's not on our timeline. I'm a man of faith, so I'm going to say it's on God's timeline. You could say it's the universe timeline, whatever fits for you. But I'm constantly making progress, having faith that will be accomplished. I will get to that goal. And I envision myself already at that goal. I am that person with that goal accomplished. Whatever that goal is. Financial, physical, vacations, family, relationships, faith, whatever. Whatever those goals are, I envision myself as the person I would be with all those goals accomplished. So, yeah, comment below. What are some of your goals? What do you need help with? Where are you stuck? See if we can help get those hurdles overcome. But in the meantime, Stephen has been able to join us, so I'm excited, looking for that. Excited to learn about his story of going from losing everything, living in a basement, to making over $3 million in top-line sales over 4 years. I'm sure he had some goals in mind, and now I'm excited to learn from him, to hear his story, to hear his knowledge, and without further ado, Stephen Pemberton.
Hey, Kenny, how are you?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I just wanted to say I loved what you were saying just a minute ago, talking about, because I'm a man of faith as well. So when you're sitting there talking about not your timing, but God's timing in certain things, and you're sitting there casting this vision, looking at your vision board and envisioning yourself as that person, I think that that's so wildly important.
Yeah, absolutely. Because so many times we have the vision of ourselves in our current situation.
Yes.
And we let that stop us. We literally, metaphorically, physically, whatever, all the above, get in our own way. It's as if a mirror image of me is standing right in front of me, pushing me back if I let it. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So yeah, and it's so important to have that vision, that different mindset, that different approach, and knowing that you can get there, having the faith that you will get there. And it may not be on your timeline, and the resources may not come when or how you think they come.
Exactly. I've experienced that in a multitude of ways. And but again, I want to thank you for that. And I want to, for all the people watching, that is so key, is not to just dream. I think so often we dream about what we want, but actually envisioning yourself is a little different. It's not a dream. Well, hopefully one day I can go to the beach in Hawaii. It's like, no, put yourself on the beach in Hawaii. What does it feel like? What does the ocean smell like? What is it hot? Is it cold? What does it feel like? And because just being really practical, I know that still sounds woo woo, but for the longest time, I used to envision myself walking through mansions and just walking around, at least 5,000, 6,000 square foot homes up to 10,000 plus. And I just thought, okay, if I ever have the opportunity, this is what I would do. This is what it would feel like. This is how the wood would feel. And then I had the opportunity to do that here where I live now in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've been able to go into a $3 million home that was almost 9,000 square feet. And what was so crazy is it was me and my wife, and there was another couple there. And for us, we'd been doing this for so long that we're like, oh, we don't really like that. We don't really like this either. We love this. This is cool. But the other couple was just blown away at the square footage because they had never put themselves there. And I think that it's so important for people to not let your current circumstances dictate where you're going. Don't let your current circumstances, the way that life looks right now, don't let that dictate what kind of life you're going to have in the future. Envision what you believe is supposed to be yours, what you feel led to, and then what kind of person would you have to be to get there? What is the traits that person would have? What is the mindset that person would have? And then start working towards that. Because by the time you get there, you'll realize, oh, shoot, all the things that I thought I would need, I actually did need, or I didn't need that, but I've learned so much along the way that you're a completely different person. You're not going to be the same person.
Yeah, total life changing experience, and the movie Over the Hedge comes to mind.
I love that movie.
Yeah, all these animals, if you know that are so used to eating the pine nuts and acorns and whatever they eat, and then the raccoon opens that bag of chips.
Yep.
And they're like, you know, and then especially Hammy when he gets the cookie.
Yep.
It's like, holy cow. And then they go see all the food at the houses.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, just a whole new world opens up to them of possibilities. Or another analogy that's often used is getting on top of a mountain peak where our view down here at halfway up is only so far.
Yep.
You know, but once you get on top of the mountain peak, it goes on. It's like a whole other world and then some. You know, so reaching out, tasting those visions. You know, you mentioned the beaches of Hawaii at first, and like, okay, my first thought is if you can't go to Hawaii today, go to the beach of a lake nearby, or even a river or something. Go to the beach of California or Florida or whatever coastline is closest to you, or you know, find a lake and then start there. Okay, maybe Hawaii is kind of like this, but I envision this as well. Or you know, just start getting there, and then go to the ocean if you can't quite make it there today, sort of thing, whatever. But just start, you know. So I love that, and I think that's a perfect tieway into, you know, the intro I used of how did that feel? Maybe it wasn't at the same time, but going from a basement to a multi-million-dollar 9,000 square foot mansion.
So A, we didn't buy that home. But B,
no, but just seeing it, like,
yes,
okay,
I
I'm
think
living
that
in this basement.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at this house. You know, who am I? What the heck am I doing here?
Well, the thing is that, and this is not prideful what I'm about to say, is because I've been seeing the vision for my life and actively working towards it for the past at least 5 years. But I envision myself as $100 million a year business owner. And I envision myself with the mindset I need to have, the characteristics, the network. And so I'm actively pursuing all of these things. So when I walked into this house, I didn't walk into the house with the mindset of who I am right now or the circumstances I'm in right now. I walked in as that person. And as that person, that house just wasn't that nice. Like if I was going to drop 3 million today, it just wasn't that nice. And the thing is that doesn't mean that I look down on anyone who's in a basement right now. I know what that feels like. It's just believing that there's more for you than the current circumstances you're in, and understanding that this is all part of the things that are working together for your good to be able to make you the person that you need to be. And it took me years to look back on that situation of living in a basement and realize that I needed that to step into a corporate job, that I was working in a warehouse and I was working 14 to 21 hours a day. And the mindset that I have now of going all in developed there. It developed in the middle of the pain. It developed in the middle of the basement. It developed in the middle of a rocky marriage. It developed then, not when everything was good. Good times does not develop a strong will or a strong person. Bad times do. And who you are on the other side of that, you're going to become, if you let it, you're going to become such a stronger person mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, for me. that you'll be able to walk into rooms that you felt so small in and be like, oh, is this it?
Yeah. And even in those bad situations, if you're able to flip that mindset, and it can be challenging, that's for sure. Is okay, I'm in this situation. I know that it's going to help me grow. How can I um what's the word, impact, make a better impact on how much I grow?
Yep.
You know, because if you just barely get through that situation, did you grow like 10%? Let's just throw a number out there. But if you really apply the principles of what they're supposed to learn and what you're going through and how you can learn and who you're becoming, then it could jump up to 90%, or it can
Right.
have a much bigger impact of the person you become on the other side of that circumstance.
Absolutely.
So, and having been in similar circumstances, going from counting quarters to put some gas in my car to you know planning cruises without blinking an eye, sort of thing, and stuff, and doing the same thing, walking these homes and things like that, and becoming that person. Okay, who, um, like you said, who I want to be in this house, or who do I want to be as, not who am I now, but who am I buying this house or buying the house I want, sort of thing. So I
Yep.
love that. But yeah, let's talk a little more about your journey in sales. So why sales? What got you started in that? We talked about the struggle of losing everything, climbing the corporate ladder, and then quitting and creating a multi-million-dollar business.
Yes. And the way that I got into that is actually I got to take the long way around this mountain. But the way that I got into that was back when I first got married. I was 20, my wife was 19, and our son came along 6 months later, and she said that she wasn't going back to work. And I wasn't making enough for her to stay home. So I said, hey, you got to do something to bring in some income because I'm not making enough. So she actually goes into an MLM, and she takes her Instagram following from 0 to over 10,000 in about a month. I start seeing income come in, not a lot. It was like $500 a month. But I thought, whoa, you can actually do that from home. You don't have to go break your body in a warehouse every day to actually make money. So a few months later, I decided to leave my job, go into business with her. And I didn't have any skill sets. We didn't have any money, and bills were due. And so that very next month, we couldn't pay rent, and we end up getting kicked out. And that's how we end up in the basement. And then if you fast forward to 2018, my wife she makes a Facebook post, and we all know not to do that when you're in the middle of an emotional moment. But she just makes this Facebook post because at this time I'd been promoted up the corporate ladder. I was actually making enough money for her to stay home and for us to enjoy a comfortable life. And she just put that she wasn't fulfilled. And my mom was the one who actually messaged her and said, hey, let's get on a call. She got on a call with my mom. My mom was doing Amazon at the time. And my wife came to me and said, hey, your mom's saying that she wants me to join her in Amazon. What do you think? And I told her point blank, no. Like, no, we ain't doing that. I've already been burned once in business. We're not doing that. Like, you can just stay right there. Well, we're good. I'm about to get another promotion. Like, you just sit there. And she got sick that weekend, and my mom wanted to know something by Monday. And so Monday rolls around, and my mom just asked her, hey, what do you think about it? And she said, yeah, let's do it. So she jumps in and decides to go all in on Amazon. And I was upset. And I just remember at this time, I'm working 14 hours a day. So I'm just thinking, how can she not see how much I'm doing for her? Like, I can't believe she would do this. She went against what I said. But I just remember a time where I would wake up. I remember waking up. I remember very specifically waking up and seeing her on her laptop. And then when I came home from work after a 14-hour shift, she was still on her laptop. And I realized that she was outworking me. She was working 17 hours a day to make that thing work. And so I ended up partnering with her as far as helping clean up the house. I helped her as far as some of her business structures at the time, just helping her along in Amazon as I was still working. And I watched her take that business from 0 to $1 million by the end of 2019. And granted, everyone listening, is that's $1 million in sales, not $1 million in profit. And this is where I end up stepping into the business more fully, is because the profit margins were so terrible that I was still making more in corporate. So this is something that a lot of people misjudge, is working a job. There's so much you can learn while you earn in a job, because you can go make $100,000 working a job. Like, you don't even have to, especially now in today's day and age, you don't have to have a lot of credentials to even go make 100,000 working a job. But making 100,000 in a business, you still got to pay. Like, if you bring that home, you got to pay taxes on that. And then on top of that is, do you want the responsibility? We had 6 employees. We had 19,000 transactions that year. So you got to deal with all of those customers at the same time, or you could just go clock in and clock out. And so when I fully stepped into it in 2020, I stepped into it earlier that year. We went to a business conference. I was helping restructure it all. And then in June of 2020 is when I left that job to go all in business with my wife. And that's when Amazon shut us down. 2 months later, like, that was a painful experience, because anyone who knows anything about Amazon, when they shut you down, they hold all your money indefinitely until you can hire a team that comes in almost like a law team to dispute that and get your money back. And so we had to pivot, and we pivoted onto Facebook, Instagram, Shopify, and we were able to take that within a year to over $1 million. So by the end of 2021, made over $1 million with hits. But the really cool thing about that is we were able to help 170 underprivileged kids have Christmas through it. And that's the thing that we've loved the most, is just the impact that you're able to have when you start making money.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then there's a couple points that you brought up that I want to go back to is, we're so narrow-minded sometimes, just the way we're brought up, and I myself was included. You talked about your example of, what do you think about this? And you just said no. You just cut it right off, and we're so narrow-minded on unfamiliar opportunities, and maybe because we got burned on something, or I went through something like that with cryptocurrency. I got burned on that, and so for a while I was like completely shut down and stuff, and anything that said crypto was like a no right off the bat and stuff. But how often do we miss opportunities because of how narrow-minded we are?
Yep.
And imagine if you still said no, and you insisted that you stopped it and all that stuff. Where would you be today? Even through the Amazon shutdown and stuff, Spotify wouldn't have happened. You'd still be at the corporate job, and certainly not corporate, because there's a place for that. But how often do we miss opportunities because of the unknown?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Or we know about it, but we're not as familiar, or we've heard this from this person, or, oh, my buddy's friend tried that, and but we don't look into it legitimately ourselves. I get a lot of that with the business I'm in, and oh yeah, I did some research and I read a lot of bad things on it. I did the Google research, and I heard a lot of bad things about your company and stuff. I'm like, well, I don't tell them this all the time, but the fact is, you can Google and find something bad about it.
Yeah.
So, but we miss so many opportunities, not just in business, but in life and growth, because it's scary and unknown, or past experiences. And I was talking about this a week or two ago with one of my previous guests. We get burned on the stove as a kid, and then that unfortunately stops some people from ever touching the stove again.
Yep.
But then on the other hand, you get some world famous chefs that had the same experience. They just decided to look into it better and give it a different chance. And okay, why did I get burned? What happened that caused me to get burned? What can I learn from it? Versus, oh, I got burned, don't touch it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So I love that. And and like you mentioned before, using those experiences to grow you versus hold you back.
Yep. And that's the thing is that's why I honor my wife whenever I get on these calls is because or whenever I have the opportunity to speak anywhere is because Stephen Pemberton doesn't exist without her. I don't. I'm not here. Like I'm not. I'd be working because of how I grew up, how I was raised, I'd still be working a job. Just plain and simple. That's because there was so much security in it. That was where my comfort was. And even though I always knew that I was meant to do bigger things, I was scared. And so I just put the blinders on, like you said, and I would just rather be scared and comfortable than to be scared and move forward into something that could not only impact me and my family, but a lot of other people's families for the better. And that's again going back to it. It's like that's why I just honor my wife in it because so many times people do that. I'm very guilty of that in the past. Is put the blinders on. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. Let me just stay in my lane. Let me just stay where I'm at. Don't try to help me be anything else. Don't try to call me any higher. Just let me be mundane. Let me be average because I feel good at average. Because to be extraordinary at anything takes a ton of work. Everyone you see in sports who is in the NFL, NBA, MLB, they didn't just get there because they had raw talent. They actually had to put in the work. They had to go to the gym. They had to hire a trainer. They've had to do things that 99% of people will not do. That's how they became the 1%. And I just that's the biggest thing that I want for the people around me is I just call them higher. Not to go into business, not necessarily, but what's your purpose? What do you feel led to? And then just calling people out of just being comfortable right where they're at. It's like, okay, a great example is one of my friends is he's like, man, I feel led into ministry. And okay, if you feel led into ministry and you've seen visions of that and you've envisioned yourself as that, what steps are you taking to get there? Well, right now it's like, don't tell me you have a vision for your life, but you don't want to move towards it. You might as well just put a picture on the wall and just look at it every now and then because you're not moving towards it. I call people higher by saying, hey, why don't you just do this? Like, just do one thing. I'm not trying to get them to quit their job or quit what they're doing and just full steam ahead. It's like, just take a step. Even if you're scared, just take a step. And even if you take that step and fail, even if you take that step and it sucks, you're learning from it. And this is one thing too that most people overlook is any opportunity that you step into, unless you've done that opportunity similarly in the past, you're going to suck. You're just not going to be good. You have to be okay at sucking until you get good. And once you get good, then that's where the real fun begins. But there's so much you get to learn. There's so much character traits that come out in the middle of not doing it well. That's even what I've had to tell myself in the midst of doing sales calls, in the midst of doing organic outreach calls and all these other things is you got to be okay with people, not liking you. You got to be okay with people not responding to your messages and realize that that's not them taking shots at you as a person. Maybe they've just been burned in the past. Maybe they've had bad experiences. And at the same time is you have to realize where your value lies. My value does not lie in a person. It doesn't. And so when it doesn't lie in a person, I am truly just there trying to serve them because I feel like I have a product that can help them at a high level. So when I show up on those calls, I'm not saying, okay, for $995, you can get this. It's like, no, how can I help you? Okay, you're trying to do more podcasts? Great. I know somebody. I just got off of one. Oh, you need to network with someone to do a landing page? Great. I know somebody. Oh, you're trying to do a trade show? Cool. I know someone. And I just think that people grossly underestimate what adding value and helping other people can actually do, not only for them, but their business.
Yeah. And there's so many ways you can add value that look so small or seem so meaningless, just making a connection. I have a person I know, they're at the point where they can't do as much physically, but they can still watch my son so I can go do XYZ projects.
Yep.
And that right there is huge value. Or someone can make phone calls while I'm in a meeting or doing XYZ project, or giving someone a ride is huge value that you don't even think second thought of, kind of thing. So many ways we can add value, and getting out of the microwave mentality or the instant gratification, instant return.
Yep.
And moving more into that abundance mindset. if I help you, I want, if I do it for the right reason, it's going to come back to me in one form or another.
Yep.
It's not going to be, okay, I did this for you, now you have to do this for me immediately, kind of thing.
Yep.
Once I moved out of that, the abundance and the opportunities just exploded. Because even if it took 10 years to cycle back to me, it was worth it every single time.
Yeah, that's so true.
And the growth and stuff, like you talking about, getting out of your comfort zone, and your safe job, the security and comfort and stuff that we like to be in, or whatever, and then they call it the Netflix and chill as well.
Yep.
But the growth and the connections and the possibilities are phenomenal when you get out of there. Even if it's not necessarily towards your exact purpose or even business related at all or anything like that, just getting to know someone and their passion behind it. That's one of the reasons I love podcasting. Getting to know people like you. There's no business transaction. We're just having a conversation. But
just having a conversation. Yep.
But the growth, I feel that I get more growth out of it than any of my guests do. Because I get to learn and experience, to a degree, their life. And I get to vicariously live a little bit of your story. And it's so awesome. And there's so many ways. Oh, I never thought about it this way before. I've tried
Yep.
this way, but I've never tried it this way and then this way. Or I've never even thought of that as a possibility, or I've never even heard of that. There are so many people that have shared stories with me that I would never have even considered some of the things they're doing as even an option. And so the growth and the opportunity and the friendship that's come out of there, and then for me it turns into a goal to want to go meet those people. Next time I'm in your area, I want to meet you in person. Well,
That'd be awesome.
I was talking with someone in Australia. Okay, when I'm in Australia, I'm going to connect with this person and meet them, and just put a name to a face in person this time and stuff.
Yep.
So it builds that relationship, and then doing so gets you out of your comfort zone even more, and to get to know them better, but also to, okay, now I got to put these things in place to go to that person, and then, or whatever it is. I'm not stuck in my comfort zone behind my computer anymore. Now I got to physically go out there or physically do this XYZ. Oh, there's so many things that you've brought up just in that few little minutes of conversation we've had. So I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing some discovery calls this week, and yesterday there was these two people who have been in business for decades, like decades and decades and decades, 30 plus years, both of them. And they both, just through telling their story, changed my perspective on what a business could be in moments. I mean, it was a 30-minute call. It was as long, it hadn't even been on here 30 minutes yet, but just as long as this live stream has been going, my mindset was changed forever just through a conversation. So even if you need finances in the moment, do not underestimate how much value you're getting from a conversation. Because even if it's not helping you pay the bills in this moment, just realize that who you just networked with and the information you got can grossly pay you much more in dividends down the road than anything you're getting in the moment. And that's even what I realized with both of those people is they just spoke into my life, into areas where it's like, man, I don't know about this in business. Like, I don't understand this in business. And they were like, oh, well, here, have you looked at it this way? No, I've never looked at it that way. Yeah. And then both of them did that. And just those little tweaks made the biggest impact for me, because there's blinders we have on, we don't even know we have on.
Yeah.
There's areas that we're blind in, that it's dark in, because we just don't understand. And we don't even realize it's there until somebody calls it out. And typically it's somebody who's a little, even if they're only a few steps ahead, they have to be a little bit ahead to say, hey, why are you heading that direction? Have you thought of it this way? And when they say, have you thought of it this way? It's just like, oh, shoot. And it's as if somebody just turned the lights on in that room for me. And now I see how to grow a business, how to scale, how to look at sales calls in a completely different way just from two conversations.
Yeah. And at this point, they probably almost thought nothing of it. It's like, oh, yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. That's what they was like,
like,
okay. Yeah. My mind was blown, especially with this one gentleman, because I believe he was in his 70s and he's been an entrepreneur since he was 18. And his dad was an entrepreneur. So just hearing those stories about his dad having an eighth grade education and starting up retail stores in Hawaii and what that looked like and how he ran them efficiently, it was just crazy. And then how this guy was able to climb into businesses and exit a lot of businesses and how he was able to scale a multi-million-dollar business with just him and a computer. And I'm just like, I don't know if I trust that. Then he explained the whole process of how you would do it or how he does it, how his structure looks like. And I was just blown away. But for him, he just laughed that I was blown away because he's also a professor for entrepreneurship at William and Mary. And he just laughed because he said, yeah, I've been doing that since 1997. So something that he's been doing for how many years is that? Almost 30 years now. For me, and I'm almost 30, so almost my entire life, he's been doing it. And for me, I never saw it that way because I've never seen anyone talk about it because all the ads you see is, hey, join my course on how to get super uber successful in e-commerce, or here, join my high ticket program or whatever it is. And it doesn't explain business structures. Most of them aren't going to explain how to actually structure your business. They're just going to teach you how to do sales, which is a great skill. They're going to teach you how to do e-commerce, which there's skill sets to learn in that. But e-commerce is such a rough seas when you're out there that it's really not worth it in the long term, unless your main goal is just to make money. If you feel uber fulfilled through making money, then e-commerce may be the right route for you.
Awesome. Yeah. And, and again, like I was talking earlier, what are your goals?
Yeah.
What are you going for? Is your goal to make money just to make money, or is your goal to make money to do X, Y, and Z? And something else that's helped me years ago is, and you talked about making the calls or doing the uncomfortable things and stuff. Do you look at it as like a have to do's, or do you flip the mindset of, okay, I do this so that I can have this?
Oh, I'd always think of it as I get to. Even when I'm a volunteer and I'm serving with an organization, it's not I have to do this, it's I get to do this. Because the thing is it's not forever. In this season, it's just, okay, I'm doing organic outreach. I want to make sure I have a good lead flow that can come organically before I just start dumping thousands of dollars in ads to generate the same amount of leads. I could just figure out a great way to do it, SOP it out as I'm doing it. So then I can just put somebody in that place to do it for me. And then I can move on to paid traffic, or I can move on to figure out another lead flow intake. There's just so many different things that I just realized I get to, because I just remember only 2.5 years ago where I had to go to work every day, had to, because just to pay the bills. I believed in my mindset I had to do it. I hated the job. I never went there and was like, man, I just love it today. Because I hated it. And so the fact that I get to do this every single day is incredible. And it's a blessing because I get to dictate my schedule. Yes, this week is crazy. I have had like 30 discovery calls, but I get to. And at the end of the day, I win either way. If they sign up, amazing. If I can help them with what I have, great. If I can't, okay, here's someone I know that can help you. And at the same time, just the same way you're having this conversation, is I learned so much through that discovery call, and I'm making a deeper network that you never know what could come out of that. I remember there was a story that came from Tony Robbins where Tony Robbins was talking about, he was doing pretty well at the time. He's probably making 100 million or so, which is really good. But somebody asked him, it's like, how many bankers do you know? And he said, I don't know any. And he said, okay, you need to go network with bankers. And so that's what he did. He just went and networked with bankers for like 3-4 years. And then nothing came from it for 3 to 4 years. And then one day he gets a phone call And these bankers and top executives at IT companies, they called him and said, hey, we have a deal on the table. We need you to fly to New York right now. And he said, why? And they said, get here now. And so he got on the plane, flew to New York, and it ended up being a $300 million deal. So was it worth going 4 years with nothing? Nothing came from it. No referrals, no nothing. But he made 300 million. And then now they do business deals all the time because now they trust him because of how big that one deal was. They knew he was good on it. And I just think of life that way is the same as you said, is it may not come back today. It may not come back tomorrow. It may come back in a decade. But when it comes back, it's going to come back in such a powerful way that you can't deny that it was worth it back then. Even when back then, maybe you needed them to close the sale so you can make the money right then because you had bills to pay. When it comes back 10 years later and you've transformed in character and it comes back, that's typically when it comes back in such a bigger way that it really does runneth over in a sense where it's, man, I never could have imagined that it would become this. I just thought I was talking to somebody and they turned into CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. And now they're offering me a part-time partnership where I can make up 10 million a year. It's like, how did that even happen? And that's a completely made up scenario. But I just think that that's so powerful how those things can happen as long as you take the monetary value off of every conversation, because each person is a person. Each person has a life. Don't look at them as a ends to a means. Like, no, you're a person. Let me get to know you. How can I help you? And then just add the value, because as you said, it'll always come back around in some form or fashion.
Yeah, and it'll prove itself. So just follow that and serve. If you're just doing to serve and and 99% of the time, if not more, how it comes back, like you were alluding to, far outweighs any monetarily gain you would have gained immediately.
Yeah.
And just like the Tony Robbins story you shared and stuff, and and even if it's not monetary, the growth, the network, the knowledge, the impact, the on and on and on. There have been times that, we still get some people 5 years later because of what you did, or you said something, or your show, you had a guest on your show, and this happened to my life change or XYZ because of that, like your discovery calls with those couples and stuff, and 5 years later, I watched one episode and we're right now, I've got 3 viewers on this thing right now, but who knows what it'll be 5 years or 3 years or 2 years, and stuff because
Exactly,
of that one episode, so it's huge. So thank you for sharing all that. Where can people get a hold of you if they wanted to connect further with you, have some discovery calls, whatever?
So the best places to find me is our website at holloco.com/challenges. The other two best ways to find me is Instagram and Facebook. Look for the guy that kind of looks like Jason Momoa or Aquaman with the name Stephen Pemberton. That's most likely going to be me. And the biggest thing I always tell people is that is going to be me. It's not my top sales guy. It's not a VA. You're not going to get hit with retargeting ads. That's just me. And if you ever schedule a call with me, the same person that I am on this live stream is the same person I'll be on the call. How can I help you? It is a discovery call. I want to discover what makes you you. Is there something that I do that I can assist you with? And if not, then who do I know that can? And I always want to make that abundantly clear because of the conversation we just had. I want to add the value because I never know. One of my favorite quotes ever is what Tom Hardy said. He said, "I treat the janitor like the CEO." And then somebody shared a story with me that made that real. This one person, he had a really big podcast, and I had the opportunity to be on it. And he shared a story about how an ex-NFL lineman for the Raiders ended up going and moving to, I think it was New Jersey, and he opened a construction company, and within 2 years took it to where he was making $15 million a year. And then he got cocky and took a ton of projects on, and he couldn't fulfill. And so he lost everything. Debtors were trying to break his knees. And so he literally had to leave town at night. and he moved halfway across the country and he had to work as a janitor, making $8 an hour. Just think about that. That means that Tom Hardy quote is real. What if that janitor you run into was a multi-million-dollar business owner who's on hard times? And then that guy, because he got his life straight. And after that, he built more multi-million-dollar businesses. So just imagine if you were nice to the janitor. You don't know who the janitor is. You be nice to the janitor. He comes up, all of a sudden he's like, hey, I remember you were one of the few people who were nice to me. So here, I just want to take you to dinner. I want to do this for you. Let me fly you to Hawaii so you can sit on that beach you've always wanted to. And that's who I strive to be on every discovery call. Is I'm gonna treat you the same. If you're making $100 million, $100 billion, or if you're making $100 a year, I want to treat you the same, because I never know, A, who are you and who you're meant to be, and two is, who do you know? So I don't ever want to have this prejudice based on numbers. I think that that's such a small way of looking at life and looking at people. Yep, blinders. Yep.
Yep. It's so true. Dollar amount, you can't put a dollar amount on the value of people. So awesome. Well, Steven, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. I've loved it. I love having you back on sometime.
I would love to be.
So thank you for being here. Everyone tuning in now and watching the replays, thank you for watching. Please reach out to Steven, get to know him, see how he can add value and you can add value to him. And as always, remember to live your passion, fulfill your purpose, and explore those possibilities.